What's it like inside the most iconic fashion brand in Texas? In this episode, we'll be meeting with the owners of a 3-generation Texas brand that has paved the way for fashion in country music, rodeo, and Western wear. So buckle up your jeans and head with us to Fort Worth and get an inside look. Western fashion is a staple of Texas culture. When you visualize a cowboy, you could pretty much guarantee he's wearing cowboy boots, a cowboy hat, denim, and a pearl snap shirt. Today, we get to meet the family behind one of the most influential Western brands in history, Panhandle Slim, and their newest brand, Roll Denim. You may or may not know their name, but I bet you know their clothes. Kix Brooks of Brooks & Dunn wore their iconic flame shirt. Tuff Hedeman has been wearing and riding in their shirts since his rodeo days. Legend has it that Panhandle Slim was actually the first company to sell pearl snap shirts back in the 1940s. This brand is deeply rooted in all things Texas, and they aren't just relying on their famous past, they are keeping it modern with their sponsees like Dale Brisby and Co Wetzel. And us, not that we're on that level yet. While they are technically our sponsors for the show, don't get it twisted. This isn't some interview turned Panhandle Roll Denim commercial. We are the ones who approached them and asked for an interview because we genuinely think their history and ties to Texas culture are perfectly in line with the Lone Star spirit. They generously agreed, so we headed out here to Fort Worth headquarters to talk with the family team. It's rare that family business lasts, and even rarer that it lasts 3 generations, and are as successful as Panhandle has been. First up, co-owner of Panhandle Slim and Roll Denim, Jameson. The company started in 1946?
Correct.
Okay, and it was your grandpa?
It was my grandfather.
Your grandfather. Okay,
Yep.
so kind of walk us through like how that came about,
Sure.
how they started, how they get going.
Yeah, so my grandfather was immigrant in Europe, and he lived in New York City.
Okay.
Got a job in the garment district, kind of took a liking to apparel. They moved to Minneapolis, Minnesota. So he was a young man. He started a sportswear company, Westmore Sportswear. The company still today is called Westmore,
Okay.
Westmore Manufacturing. In the very beginnings, one of their points of differentiation is they created this cowboy shirt called the Gambler.
Okay.
And it had pearl snaps on it. We like to think we were the first company to do a pearl snap shirt. I can't really audit that claim, but it's a good story.
Yeah.
And so they went out. It was a very popular shirt. And one of the salesmen at the time was a guy, his name is Ed Gassman.
Okay.
And Ed was talking about coming up with a different name for the shirt, something that really spoke to what was happening with this shirt and Western apparel. And he was in the Panhandle of Texas, and he was kind of playing off the lore of what Texas people were, and the kind of gamblers, and they came up with the idea of Panhandle Slim, which was sort of this idea, this sort of fictional kind of character that kind of gave life to the brand.
Nice.
And that's where they came up with it.
So they did that, and that was the beginning of the migration to Western wear.
Yeah, and this would have been in the late 40s, early 50s, and then about 1974. The Lusky family, who had a lot of Western stores around Texas, said, if you're gonna have a Western wear company, better off Texas than Nebraska, and they kind of convinced us to come down here. And my dad opened up a satellite office, and later, a year or two later, moved the whole company here, and we've been where we're having this conversation today in this spot ever since. Yeah.
That's why I did not know the Lusky part.
Yes.
So like, for those people that may be watching that aren't from the Fort Worth area, the Lusky family was very influential in fashion and clothing here for a long time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just saw Mike right before he retired a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I think he did one of his last hats. Was for me. So then your dad and Lenny took over. His brother Lenny took over the business.
Correct. Yep.
When your grandfather retired, and then they ran that through. They were heading that up in the 80s and 90s.
And my dad's still here today.
Your dad's still here today. And so there's some stuff that was pretty influential and big that happened in that time period. Well, one, country music and some other stuff really took off.
They had started with these two guys, formed this duo, this band. And
Bunch of no names.
They were, well, at that time,
they were,
at that time they were really no names, and ended up being Brooks and Dunn.
Yep.
The cool thing was that Hicks would, the shirt that became really iconic is a flame shirt. We sold millions of them. Hicks actually designed it on an airplane napkin on a flight.
Okay.
And so, I mean, that was just, you know, he would design these bold, wild prints.
Yeah.
And we would make them and put them on shirts. And
Yeah.
Ronnie would wear, you know, all black. He wore
Yeah.
no color
Yeah.
back then. That's like burnt in my memory. That's what I think of when I think of Panhandle Slim, the 90s.
Yeah,
you
the
know,
90s were big.
the music, and Garth and Brooks and Dunn and all those.
That's right.
cats,
Garth
yeah.
wore a bunch of your stuff.
He wore
too.
the Mo Betta stuff.
Yeah.
He used to make the Mo Betta stuff too.
I forgot about Mo Betta.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you had Mo Betta with Garth.
Yeah.
And then you had Brooks and Dunn.
Yep.
With, I mean, that flame shirt is, I don't know what's outsold that, if anything ever, but there is still to this day probably the most iconic shirt in the history of all Western country music.
I just saw, I don't know, a few months ago, and you can find the image somewhere. Lainey Wilson had it, and it was, you know, she had it made, but she had pants and a top.
I saw that
when they were doing Reboot.
Yeah, I saw that, and the first thing I thought was, I wonder if Jameson's making that.
I didn't. She's with it. She's with another brand.
I know.
So,
I was thinking like, oh wow. I was like, now they're really, but they got the pants to go with it.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
You know, like most of Westernwear at that point in time was pretty kind of traditional looking, right? Like everybody, and you guys were the kind of leading the doorway and
like
being
if you think
more fashionable.
If you think
too.
back to that time, yeah, I mean everything was super starched.
Yeah.
And you know, you wore what you wore. I think back to those days. I think, you know, like the brush popper was really big back then. Those bold stripes, and I'll stop in a vintage store every now and then. If you can find a 50s or 60s era Panhandle Slim pearl snap in good condition, I mean, those things go for hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. Well, strangely enough, we did some family photos not too long ago, and we had a vintage fashion guy procure all this stuff for the family. And so one of the shirts, I think it was the one I wore, was like this 1950s or something Panhandle shirt. And it was like, I forgot what it is, whatever type of wool or whatever they used. Like the shirts lasted forever.
Forever.
You know, and it was a pearl set. And I was like, we were laughing because we were like, this shirt is better quality than like most of the stuff you see out there.
Things were just made so differently back then, you know, and now everybody has more, you know, everything. Now it's about having more stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, I think there's kind of a return to having better made, having less stuff, better made, lasts longer, more sustainable, that kind of thing. So
I want to take a walk around and go look at some stuff and kind of talk a little bit more about the story and how you got to where you are today.
Let's do it.
Howdy, partners. Here at the Cowboy Experience show, we're all about connecting with the trailblazers and pioneers. That's why we're proud to partner with LEC in outsourced contact center and CX services. At LEC, they're not just keeping up. They're setting the pace in professional services, helping businesses across the globe enhance their customer experiences and streamline operations. Leading Edge Connections, your partner in the Wild West of customer experience. You can find them at leadingedgecx.com.
So this is the design. I call this the heartbeat of the company. This is the design area of the company, and we've got like 17 people that are all constantly creating. We're you know, that's everything. It's a very collaborative environment. Yeah. This is kind of open, and people get together and consult on design and talk through things, and we're all, you know, we're creating art and designing shirts, and everything we do is designed out of this room. So
yeah. So when they go through the process, like just so people kind of understand, you really like when you see these prints, like a shirt like this.
Yeah, or like this.
Or like this.
Yeah.
They're designing the artwork from scratch.
Correct.
And then putting that into play on like what you guys are going to, what type of shirt you're going to put it on.
Exactly.
Right? And then what's the approval process? Is everything across your desk, or is there like another team?
I'll see every single garment that comes out of the company. I will put eyes on.
Okay.
So I'm not designing it, but I'm collaborating with the design team, with the design department, and
that's pretty. I like that one.
Yeah, we're
That's good looking right there.
yeah. This is our new Panhandle Slim.
Yeah, stretch.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, and everything we do now is typically stretch and performance, and
Yeah.
that's very much entered into the Western apparel space.
So how long and how far ahead, like how long is the process to design a shirt and get it
To market?
to market? And then how far ahead are you guys having to plan?
Yeah, so everything that's happening in this room right now, we are planning fall of next year.
So now
Fall of 26.
Fall of 26.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're staying almost
a
a year and a half ahead in some ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a year and a few months.
Yeah.
We're always planning ahead, and so the stuff that we're working on in this room, we'll go to market with in January, and then it will go to market in August and September of next year.
And when you guys are designing stuff, is it a holistic line that goes out and then different stores can pick it up, or is there stuff that you specifically design for certain groups?
We design collections, and then
Okay.
stores buy
And
what
they buy
they
into the
want
collections.
from the
Okay.
collections. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then, so it's a pretty long process. Does anything ever happen with because you're thinking a year and a half ahead?
Yeah.
Is there any curveballs that come up where it's like, hey, we're gonna have to
Like tariffs?
Well, it's got
Like tariffs?
like tariffs.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm sure. That's a
Sure. I mean, stuff happens,
Yeah.
and COVID
Yeah.
was a crazy time in the apparel industry. Tariffs have been. I mean, we meet every day. Everything changes. Like by the day, what you think on Tuesday is totally different by Thursday, which is
that's what I was wondering. Like I've talked to
Really?
some other people that
Yeah.
anything that the tariffs affect.
Yeah.
They're like, we're living either day by day or sometimes even part of a day by part of a day.
you just wait until the next thing happens, and we have been very, very diligent about making sure that we are making our products in a multitude of countries, because on a dime we may have to switch something from one country to another. And look, I wish that we could make things in the United States of America. That would be perfect. It would be easy. We could bring things quicker to market. You could keep an eye on your production. It is just not a possibility. I mean, you could do it if people wanted to pay $175 for a pair of jeans and
it's
$125 for a shirt, but it's a whole different thing.
Right.
It's not where the brands are.
Yeah. So you guys are able to pivot and do some of those things,
Yeah.
and then make adjustments when curveballs are thrown to the best of your ability.
You have to.
Yeah. And so okay, cool. All right, man. So when you started rock and roll, the first piece of rock and roll when it started was really around like t-shirts and jeans or something, right?
More t-shirts and hoodies and caps and that kind of thing.
And then the jeans hit.
Yeah, then the jeans were less than a year later. We got in the jean business because when you don't know what you don't know, you think you can do.
Yeah.
And we started in the jean business, and we actually the first couple of styles of jeans that we initially went to market with are still 18 years later two of our most popular styles. We sell thousands and thousands and thousands of pairs of those styles still today, every day.
Yeah.
And if I showed them to you, you'd know them. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, they're very popular and they did well. What, like when you came, because you brought up something earlier, you said like, when you started working here, your dad and Lenny stuck you in an office and said,
figure
out what you want to do.
Figure it out.
Right. So then you spent a lot of time just doing research and looking at what the market was asking for or not asking, where the gaps.
I really didn't spend a lot of time doing research. I figured it out.
Yeah. So you said I want to do the jeans.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like this is a way to go.
There were not a lot of options in the jean space at that time, and they weren't the jeans that Western jeans that you could buy were not jeans that I like to wear. So I wanted something that I could relate to, and
Yeah, because at that time it was what, Levi's and Wrangler.
Levi's and Wrangler.
That's
yeah.
pretty much it. And you said Ariat was kind of coming up, but they weren't
kind of coming up.
They weren't big yet. And Cinch was, I don't even know if Cinch was around.
Cinch was around. Oh yeah, Cinch was around.
So then you hit. And what's the claim to fame with your jeans? Like why do people love your jeans so much?
I think we were really really early with stretch.
Okay.
I think we were stretch before. We this tag that we've had on our jeans, we've done this reflex denim thing.
Yeah.
Almost since day one. So we were really early with stretch and flexibility, movement, and then just the breadth of washes and pocket details and styling. I mean, again, just so much, so broad the offering that we.
I think one of the things I think is really great about the story with your dad and how they positioned you was you went out and like you said, you were in the New York fashion scene for a while. So you're absorbing all this stuff that's going on.
Right.
And then you brought it back to what, the family place.
I worked for some of the biggest and best brands out there and learned. And when I came here, I knew a little bit.
Yeah.
I knew a little bit, and but I had to learn the Western industry, and that was the biggest thing I did. Is I just spent a lot of time going and visiting stores and talking to a lot of people. Not doing a lot of talking, but listening to a lot of people. Yeah.
Well, and you were able to take from this one world and figure out how to create something in this other world.
Totally.
And by what you learned, which is pretty cool.
A guy
Very
used
Texan
a
of you,
a guy used a term yesterday. I was talking to a guy on the phone, and he kept going, we fitfa.
Yeah.
And so I finally go, what is fitfa? And he goes, fitfa, figure it the fuck out. And that's really that's what life is, man. Is like, you walk through and you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so, we're still working on it. We're always perfecting it, right? Because everything about a jean, everything is always changing. The rises change. Like today, rises are getting higher. Guys want higher rise jeans, and the fabric changes, the technology changes.
Right.
It's everything is always changing.
Yeah.
So
it's a never-ending process.
No, and it's never boring. There's never a boring day like at the office. Today I'm on a podcast, and this morning I had meetings all morning, and I'll go have a design meeting after this, and world champion Cowboys come into the office, and Co Wetzel might walk in, and you just never know. Every day is
dull.
The Cowboy Experience show is proud to be filmed and sponsored by one of Austin's coolest media teams. They wrangle up high-quality media for businesses, artists, and creatives who want to leave their mark. With a combo of big ideas and bold visuals, 271 Creative House is sure to make your story shine as bright as the Texas star.
It's fascinating to see all the behind-the-scene work that goes into it. We also got to meet Zach, the vice president, who is paving a way for himself in the company alongside his cousin, Jameson.
I mean, there's a lot of opportunity. That's what's really striking, is it's very rare you find a company, and one that's in the family, where it has 79 years of history and a lot of brand equity, and yet still a lot of room for growth. It's like this amazing combination of two things. Like usually a company either has a ton of brand equity and it's been around for a long time, and there's areas to grow in the margins, and you're just trying to tweak one thing here or there to improve, or you're brand new and you still have this whole world of opportunity. And we're in this like really unique like place where we have all this history, all this heritage, all this authenticity, and we have a lot of room for growth.
Well, I think one of the things that I've always admired about Panhandle and now Rock and Roll Denim along with that is their freeness to explore some areas of what traditional Western wear or clothing may do by a brand, right? How has the advent or the explosion, I would say, of like the country music scene, and then obviously like what Taylor Sheridan and these guys have done with westerns and things like that all impacts because it's exposing so many more people now that in there. How does that impact where you're looking at things in the future?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the pie is just bigger, right? Like usually when you're in a marketplace, you're trying to find a bigger slice of an existing pie. Or in our world right now, our pie just grew a lot bigger, and so That's amazing because you obviously have potential a lot more business, a lot more customers that you can reach, but it also means there's going to be a lot of foray from other competitors that are coming into the space. And so what you need to make sure is that you're continuing to gain market share, or at least hold steady, but ideally gain market share even with that growth. And so that's where there's a lot more challenges that come with that expanding pie, but something that's very real. And all of those changes that you've mentioned are definitely a reality. And so we're trying to take advantage of it. That's something that we think about often, is that now pearl snaps are not just worn by cowboys. And so we have to take advantage of that. And one of the things that's also been nice is things like polo shirts. Everybody wears, including cowboys, right? And so just by natural, like first we were reaching our endemic market by making more polo shirts, but now we're understanding that, hey, a lot of people are playing golf now. Now we can start going outside of just our comfort zone. Our home base is always going to be our home base, but as the industry expands and we're trying to get more customers into the Western world, like we can kind of help be that helping hand of like, hey, come try on some of our product that you're used to, and then start wearing more pearl snaps and start wearing what everybody else is wearing.
As we were wrapping up, literal rodeo royalty came in to pick up a shirt. Tuff Hedeman. I may have fangirled out a little bit on the inside, but I tried to play it cool for the camera. Tuff Hedeman is a man drenched in Texas culture. He won the PRCA Bull Riding Championship 3 times and the Professional Bull Riders PRB World Championship. He literally co-founded the PBR and later served as its president. He now owns and runs his own bull riding organization, THBRT, Tuff Hedeman Bull Riding Tour. He's listed as the #2 bull rider in all of PBR history, and that's just scratching the surface of this Texas icon.
How many years? Are we 35 years?
Well,
Should we say this for the camera?
No. It's funny because officially, the first time I'd worn some Panhandle Slim shirts, but at the NFR in '86, Ron. It was the first time I ever met Ron. I met him at the Golden Nugget in Vegas downtown, and he brought me 6 shirts, and 3 of them were for me and 3 of them for Lane Frost, and that was my first introduction to Panhandle Slim.
When I worked here in the summer that time, it was like 90 or 91.
Yeah.
And he'd already been with you guys for a while.
Yep.
So that was, so that had to have been.
There was a couple of years where I got fired kind of because, again, the guy that I had the relationship with, not only his father and uncle, but there was a guy named Ron. He was with you guys, 23 years?
Forever, Ron Pack, yeah.
Yeah, he was VP whatever, and so like when I won the world in '86, Wrangler would give you a $10,000 bonus, but you had to wear Wrangler. And he said, "I'm not paying you $10,000. You better get their $10,000." So pretty much. Yeah. So I was with him, and then and so, but I guess '97 is whenever they came out with the rough stock line, which was sort of kind of my line. So
yeah. You're still on the hang tag today.
Still on. So
yeah. So you've been doing business together for 40 years.
40 years.
What's kept you working with the family and with Panhandle for that long?
They're just incredible people, and they make the best stuff.
Yeah. Simple answer, but
they have for a long
agree.
time. And so, well, it's at the end of the day, you think back, well, what's the agreement? What's the agreement here, there? It's pretty much been a handshake deal. There was a document some time ago, but I think the one thing that they do know is if they call me and they need me to come take out the trash and do whatever, I would do that. No matter what they would ask of me to do for the company, I would never say no.
Tough is very that's the truth of it, is that
regardless of how big or how small it would be.
Tough will do anything. He's just he's
I try to be whatever they call a company guy. whatever is best.
Yeah.
You know.
If you ask him to be at a Western store in Toledo, Ohio on a Thursday 2 weeks from now,
He's gonna be there.
he's going to be there. He'll be there. He'll make it work.
Yeah.
I think I missed one appearance one time, and it was with him.
I'm sure y'all have some stories.
It wasn't. I wasn't with him, but he was the guy that I was meeting that I no-showed.
Yeah.
It's not a good idea to no-show the boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
He was just on his way to being the boss. At that time.
I was gonna say, was he the boss yet?
He was close.
He was close.
He was close.
Yeah. He finally made it.
I've been having to tell him yes, sir, since he was 9. Can't see anything I can do for you today. That's all right. That's okay.
It's all good.
okay.
Well, so you stay pretty busy, man. I know we were talking before we came on camera. You got a couple little kids, and you got your whole life going on. What all is and a lot of people know about your past, because you're a pretty famous guy. But what do you got going on right now? Like what's going on with Tuff?
I produce a handful of bull riding events. They're just kind of select invitational events, and I do a handful of those every year. And I do. A couple weeks ago, I went to Louisiana to go to a Bear Creek, and I can't pronounce the name of the town. Was it Mount Clea? Something.
something.
It's in the
Well, they've been in business for 50 years.
Yeah.
And so they had a 50 year, anniversary blowout, and so they asked me to come.
Yeah.
So I do appearances like that, and like I said, a handful of events, and I've got a 9-year-old and a 3-year-old. So
Yeah.
anybody that has a 9 or
Keep you
3
young and busy.
No,
Yeah. Well, mine are 10, 11, and 12 now, but it's and I started over again. So it's like it keeps you young and wears you out at the same time, I think.
Mine are evenly spread. Mine are 33, 29, 9, and 3.
There you go. Yeah. So you can't quit working yet.
All my buddies my age, they're talking about retirement and this, that, and the other. And when you got a 9-year-old and 3-year-old, retirement probably isn't in your immediate future.
Yeah. That's why I've said I'll be working until I'm 90.
That's right.
But
me too.
There's a lot going on, and I don't want to get too far. I mean, I do want to get too far off base. I'm gonna get off base for a little bit, but there's a lot going on with bull riding in the last several years with the sport in general. And I was wondering what your take, because you've got all this new stuff with the new league and everything else they've come out with. What's your take on it? Are you excited about it? Do you think it's great?
Well, I think there's no better time to be a bull rider if that's what you want. It's not for very many people. For me, it was the coolest thing in the world. The thought of one of my kids doing it terrifies me, because people truly don't know how dangerous it really is. Like literally every time you do it, you have a realistic chance of not living through it.
Yeah.
I'm still surprised that they don't have more fatalities than they do. But if that's your deal, there's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
Whether you go to the rodeos, you go to the standalone event, regardless of what the initials are on the association, organization, sanctioning body, whatever you want to call it. If you can ride, you can make enough money to keep from getting a real job, and that's kind of always been my goal.
Yeah.
I had a real job from the time I was 8 till the time I went to college, and making the whistle and riding bulls was better than real jobs.
Yeah, I bet.
We sponsor. I think you were talking about teams.
Yeah.
And so we sponsor the Gamblers, which the PBR now divides their season into 2 seasons. So they have the individual PBR, and Tuff was one of the founders of the PBR, and so they have the individual season, and then they have a championship, and then they have the teams and the championship. And if you think about it, like you said, I mean, it is nobody makes it through a year unscathed. So shortening the season makes some sense.
Right.
The fewer rides you got to do, the better chance you're walking and standing at the end of a season. And so the other thing is that when you have the teams aspect to all this, you can root for a jersey now. Like our team is the Gamblers, and we've got some of the best PBR guys on the team. and Sage Kimsey just recently joined the Gamblers,
Yeah.
and Sage is another great legend bull rider. But now when you have a team, you can root for the team, and if your guy is laid up, gets injured, you still have your team. You still have your team there to support. So it's like, if somebody on the Dallas Cowboys gets injured, you're still going to watch the game. Before you just had your. Yeah, maybe that was a bad example.
No, we still
Poor choice.
We all
yeah.
still watch. We
Of
all know
course,
we do.
of course.
You're the best it's ever been, as far as I'm concerned. So we appreciate you stopping by,
Absolutely.
and talking to us. I mean, it's a big treat for me,
Thanks for
personally.
having me.
I've always been a big fan, and it was a big treat for me to have you sit down for a few minutes and just chat with us. Thanks for doing it.
Absolutely.
If you had told 15-year-old me that I would someday get to sit at a table with Tuff, I don't know that I would have believed you. Heck, I don't even think 48-year-old me would have believed you. But I'm humbled to have gotten to chat with the best of the best. And we got one last surprise visit from Jameson's father, Jeff, who I like to call Mr. Hawkster, the president of the whole shebang.
I think one of the things that in what we've talked to with everybody while we've been here, that in some of the stuff I didn't know, coming in,
Sure.
was the model that you have as a family have run as a business. I think is very interesting in how it's helped you guys be successful. It's very Texan, actually, in a lot of ways, which is go out, explore, find these things that you like and the experience you have, and then bring that experience back and
Right.
help us grow from where we are today
Right.
and make us better.
That's true. That's what we've done.
And all of y'all have done that.
Right.
And so I think it's one of the things that's made Westmore and Panhandle or Rock and Roll Denim successful in my mind for generations, where a lot of times in generational businesses, you see grandpa had a great idea, son did okay, grandson's not doing that great, great-grandson
The
ruined
business
it.
disappeared. Yeah, and we've been lucky we haven't had that.
You guys have thrived. You've continued to
Right.
grow. And I think that has to do with how you set each other up with a model that looks like your dad even started and y'all have
Right.
expanded upon. Jameson shared with us that one of the things, and the way he viewed it at least, it may not have been said this way, but the way he interpreted it was when he got back here to start, you and Lenny didn't really give him a position. It was, we want you to sit, figure out what you want to do.
Correct.
And I think that's one of the most powerful things you could do with an individual, because now they're not in a box.
Right.
You've set them up to be creative, much like you or your father were, in an entrepreneurial mindset, and
Correct.
saying, hey, go figure out what we're going to do next. So anyway.
And Zach pretty much the same. When Zach came down here, he was able to feel his way, figure out what he wanted to do, and it was kind of slow getting started, learning things the right way, and eventually, due to circumstances beyond everybody's control, he was thrown into a position where he had to do things on his own.
Yeah. Well, he seems to be getting a good grip on it.
He is.
Just in the conversation we've had with him, and he has a view and a vision based on his experience of where he thinks he wants to take things, and so we're excited to watch that take place.
We are too.
When you're looking at the business today and what it was, 40, 50 years ago, do you just kind of step back and shake your head sometimes at like, look what we've done, wow, and look at the people that we've
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've been very lucky. We've made some good contacts. We've worked real hard. We started manufacturing overseas about the right time. And, when is the right time? Who knows? But
Yeah, it worked out that way.
it did work out that way. And, we're still doing it. And we sold ourselves to not just our customers, but also to our suppliers, our factories overseas. And that was an interesting, phenomenon in its own right.
Yeah. Well, and you guys have been, over the years, have been able to pick and partner with the right, whether it's a sports type of thing or a country music type of thing, which, most people are familiar with the Brooks and Dunn thing. But to Jameson's point earlier, Brooks and Dunn wasn't Brooks and Dunn when you guys met them.
No, obviously not.
They were not they weren't the 900 million,
Pound gorilla.
that they are.
Right.
And so you guys had the foresight to connect with them in some way and give them the freedom, for Kicks to come in and say, I want to create a shirt.
Right.
And some people weren't cool with that at that point in time.
Well, it turned out to be probably the best-selling shirt ever in the Western industry.
Yeah.
So,
But that just speaks to, I think, to y'all's creative gene, and part of your DNA of being able to think outside the box and say, hey, listen, this isn't the way it's always done, but it looks this may be something that'll work, and you ran with it. So
Correct.
kudos. Now you got Co-Wetzel and the Austin Gamblers and all these great new hot topics that are going on. So it's very cool. What are you most excited about moving forward?
Most excited to continue the growth of the company, to see Jameson and Zach build together as cousins and respect one another, but just to really continue to treat our folks that are here at this company the way they've been treated for the last however many years it's been, but also the way we've treated our customers and made them feel like they're the most important thing.
Yeah.
So that's again continuing to be something that we're really proud of, and we want to continue to do.
Very good. Well, I appreciate you taking time to talk to us.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Panhandle is successful not just because they have quality clothes, but they really care about being a piece of the culture they cater to. From involving themselves in rodeos and ranches to music and pop culture, they've established themselves as part of the Texas DNA. What makes this iconic brand iconic is not how many sales they've made, but their embodiment of the spirit of the American West and creating a legacy that generation after generation will proudly wear. That's all for this episode of the Cowboy Experience. Make sure you subscribe to our channel to join us on our journey across Texas as we find the coolest people, places, and artists this state has to offer. In our next episode, we are bringing you along as we visit the historic Fort Worth Stockyards. Until then, adios.